Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading vlog. This reading vlog is going to be vampire centered. Y'all, I have found I love me a good vampire book, okay? I have read a few. Let me name them for you in 1 second. I need to go look and see what I have. I felt like I've read a lot of vampire books. Apparently I haven't, or maybe I have in the past and I can't remember. Recently I read Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. I've read Salem's Lot by Stephen King, which I adore. Salem's Lot. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I just love vampires. I feel like I just love them. I love them so much. So when I was looking at my TBR the other day, I realized I have 4 vampire themed books in my TBR. And I want to read these. I want to read these for you guys for a reading vlog. So I'm going to be reading these in order, a weird order, okay? So I wanted Brian to pick his favorite or least favorite to favorite cover. I thought that'd be kind of fun. I'll insert that clip now. Why is that your least favorite?
I don't know, I don't like the cover.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know, I just don't like it.
Okay.
Title's pretty lame. Just Bride.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Okay.
I like the cover of this, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
And the title's a lot more interesting.
Okay.
And then I really like the color scheme of this, it's really cool.
That is very you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks. So I plan on reading these books from his least favorite cover to his favorite cover, starting with The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This is by Carissa Broadbent. This is a duet, but there is a novella in between these, so I'm just gonna read the first book with you guys. I've had this on my TBR almost a year, if not a year. I have just been so nervous about it. I'm gonna just probably butcher what I know about it, but from what I'm understanding, I haven't read the synopses in probably a year, is that it's like Hunger Games but with vampires and there's romance. Is that right? I don't know, but we're gonna find out. It just says the adopted human daughter of the Nightborn vampire king, Araya, carved her place in a world designed to kill her. Her only chance to become something more than prey is entering the Kajari, a legendary tournament, Hunger Games, held by the goddess of death herself. I love this. But winning won't be easy against the most vicious warriors from all 3 vampire houses. I'm loving this. To survive, Araya is forced to make an alliance with a mysterious rival. Everything about, oh boy, his name's gonna be hard. Fantasy's hard. Everything about Rain is dangerous. He's a ruthless vampire, an efficient killer, an enemy to her father's crown, and her greatest competition. Yet what terrifies Araya most of all is that she finds herself oddly drawn to him. But there's no room for compassion in the Kajari. War for the throne of House of Night brews, shattering everything that Araya thought she knew about her home, and Rain may understand her more than anyone, but their blossoming attraction could be her downfall in a kingdom where nothing is more deadly than love. Hunger Games vampire romance. I'm so looking forward to this one. It's a pretty long one. I haven't read a fantasy in a minute. It's actually not that long. It feels long. I think it's less than 500 pages. It's like 480 pages. That's not too bad. I'm really excited to read this. I'm taking this with me on vacation. Will I be able to read it on vacation? I don't know. Might be busy, but I'm really excited for this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm here with my first mid-book update. Guys, I'm like 50-ish% of the way done. I'm on part 5, which by the way I didn't show you guys, but I have a few of these like a sucker for bookmarks, and this one says a sucker for vampires, which I thought was kind of perfect for this reading vlog. But I haven't updated you guys because I basically started this book and then went on vacation, and I don't know about y'all, but I just can't read on vacation, especially if I'm like doing stuff, because then I come home and I just pass out. So I put the book down for a little bit, read the first 2 parts, and then came home, and now I'm on part 5, if that says anything. I'm really enjoying the story of this. When I said that it's like vampire Hunger Games, that's like basically correct. There is a little bit more politics involved, but I really enjoy it because our main gal is a human and she's like competing in these trials with all vampires. And not only is she competing in these trials, but she also needs to just like survive, because like bloodlust and everything, like they basically are like, she needs to survive, so she has to like hide out, and then during the day and stuff she can come out, and it's it's very interesting, and we are starting to get to that like romantasy plot point, which I'm really into. I did already purchase the novella that should be coming like tomorrow, that goes in between this duet. So it's like this book, there's another book, and then there's a novella in between, because I'm really liking this, you guys. Like, I feel like this is getting me back into like my fantasy moment, because sometimes for me fantasy is really difficult to read, because if I don't understand the world, if I don't understand the politics, I just feel like, what's the point? So I just kind of stop. But this is really easy to follow, and I'm really enjoying this so far. So a lot of things are happening. I will check in with you when I can. I think I'll probably check in with you when I'm done, because like I said, I'm almost done. And I love that it's separated into parts. I love when books are separated into parts, because I always try to read like a part a night. So tonight I'm gonna try and read part 5, and that should get me to about, part 5 will get me to like here. So I should be done with this in a couple of days. So that's my update. I'm really enjoying this so far. Although I am not getting the 5-star feeling, but I am definitely in the 4-star range, for sure. Y'all, I finished this book the other night. I am gooped. I am gobsmacked. I loved this. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Every time I say Hunger Games with vampires, like, is that true? Kind of. There's more to it. Yes, there are trials that our human friend is going through that gives it the Hunger Games-esque vibe, but it's so much more. It's so good. So I was getting to this book, or I was on the last trial. I was really excited, and I feel like if you've read this book, me and you are on the same path. We understood. We're in this last trial. We know where this book's going. We're like, I know what's gonna happen. It makes sense. I'm excited to find out though. And then you're like hit with the biggest, I'm sorry, what? Who? They did, huh? That was such a curveball. Don't like it. I was gonna say I kind of love it. I don't. I don't like it, but I do have 6 Scorched Roses here, which is the novella. It's like pretty teeny, that goes in between this duet, because I need to know. I need to know what happens. I really liked this. At the end, I read the author's note. This is one of 5 Crowns of Nyaxia books. So this first 2 is a duet with the novella, and then I think there's going to be another duet that I think is coming out next year, potentially, if not the end of this year. Absolutely no clue what happens in that one. Don't know if we're following new people. None of that. I really liked this. This put me in such a heavy fantasy mood, which is so difficult for me to say, because I do enjoy fantasy, but it's just like, I'm never in the mood for it. So I was so happy with this. So for this to be the first vampire-esque book, loved. Vampire, the amount of vampires in this, I mean, they're all up in it. We're in a land filled with them. It doesn't give like spooky vampire at all. It is very much so a romantasy vampire novel. Very good. Really liked it. On a scale of 1 to 5 vampires, I'd say it's about like a 2.5 on the vampire scale. But I do think if you're a romantasy lover or a fantasy lover, or you just are in the mood for like Hunger Games kind of, but with vampires and a little romance, even though Hunger Games has romance too, I highly suggest picking this one up because I really liked it. So first vampire book down, and I loved it. Hi guys, so for you it's been like a second, and for me it's been a couple of months since I have touched this vampire reading vlog. I read The Serpent and the Wings of Night, obviously loved it, and then took some time and did a couple other reading vlogs, but now we're back, okay? And it's funny because I had plans to read a vampire themed book every month. Oops, but we are back with the next book, which is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Funnily enough, this is my first ever Ali Hazelwood. Is that a good thing? I don't know, but I'm excited to read this one. I also already have my, it's like sticky on the front. Must have been a Target sticker. I already have my A Sucker for Vampires bookmark in here because duh. And I'm really excited to read this one because I'm kind of like, I feel like out of all the vampire books that I have, Other than I guess maybe the like romantasy that was The Serpent and the Wings of Night, this is going to be the only romance of the 4. So I'm looking forward to it. As far as I know, it's a romance between a vampire and a werewolf. I've heard there's a lot of like politics involved, which I'm kind of excited for because I like to know backstories of things and to like know the inner workings. I'm looking for that. It says a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf form a dangerous alliance in this enthralling new paranormal romance. Have not read a paranormal romance. Am really looking forward to it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a start tonight and I'll update you guys as I go along. But I just wanted to let you know that I'm going ahead and starting Bride. I almost hit myself in the throat. Bride by Ali Hazelwood tonight and I'm really looking forward to it. Alrighty, so I'm here with an update for Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I'm about 50% through. I'm on page 207, chapter 16. Y'all, this is so good. This book is so good, and I feel like it's been happening to me a lot recently where I pick up a book to read and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And I went into this being like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. And like the first night I read like 130 pages. And then last night I got to 200. And I think tonight I'm gonna probably get to like 75% of the way done with this because it's just so good. So let me quickly read the synopsis because I'm not trying to spoil anything, so hold on. So everything that I'm about to say is on the back in the synopsis, so I'm not spoiling anything. But basically we're following Misery, and Misery is a vampire and she's the daughter of like the head of the vampires, and all her life she's basically been known as like collateral. So they have this like alliance with the humans where they send like a vampire, like a child vampire to the humans send a human to the vampires, and it's collateral. So like if anything happens between them, those are the first ones they kill, and it's usually someone that's like pretty high up. So since she's the daughter of like basically the president, I suppose, she's huge. So she was like human collateral all her life as a kid, and then she comes back to the vampire world and her dad's like, now you're gonna be collateral with the werewolves, because the werewolves and the vampires have like a long history of not getting along, and this is the first time in a very long time that they've done this like exchange in order to have like an alliance together. So she has to marry the head of like the pack, the alpha of the pack, and initially she's like, no, I don't want to, but then she sees his name and she's like, yes, I want to, because she's there not only to be collateral, there's like a very like other reason, which is a little bit more fun to add into the plot, why she wants to be with him, because his name is very familiar to her. So she is with Lo and he's the leader of the pack, and I'm really enjoying this story. So she's living in were territory. She's never been there her entire life. She can't really leave the house, but like you're meeting all of these people that are like werewolves and you're learning like a little bit of their politics and a little bit of the vampires and a little bit about the humans as well, and it's just so interesting. But I will say I love Misery. I think she's super witty, and I think she's so funny. Like the way Ali Hazelwood writes her, she's just like funny to read. And this book is like, again, this is my first Ali Hazelwood, but it's just so easy to consume. Like it's such an easy read, and I feel like sometimes with books, like maybe it's just me, but sometimes I have to reread sentences because I'm like, what is happening? What? And maybe that just happened because I just read The God of the Woods and that like took me a second. I would have to reread paragraphs. But I'm loving this. I'm flying through this. I have a feeling I'm gonna finish it very soon, and I'm really liking it. To be fair, on the like vampire scale of this vampire vlog, we're not really doing much with the vampires. It's mostly just following Misery in this were territory. But I'm having a good time. It's feeling very enemies to lovers. It's feeling very like this is my theory. I think he thinks they're mates or he knows they're mates, but that's why he keeps pushing her away. Could that be? I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you. But I'm having such a good time with this, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So I'm gonna read some more tonight and I'll keep you guys updated, but so far, so good. Alrighty, so I finished Bride last night by Ali Hazelwood, and I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. So I feel as though also I've been so picky about giving out 5 stars recently. No, I don't think this is a 5-star from me, but I just thought about that because like the past like 4 or 5 books that I've read, I've given 4 stars. I haven't given a 5-star in a while, so maybe I'm just being a little picky about it. But this to me is a 4-star. So I really enjoyed this. This is again like my first paranormal romance. Are there more of them? Let me know. And I found the romance to be really great. Obviously, like, I wrote this in my Goodreads review, but like I feel as though maybe the author set this up to be like a big secret or a big reveal that we're not supposed to know till the end. There's no way, none of the readers picked up any of the context clues from the first freaking chapter about the big reveal. Cause like, it only made sense, especially if you've read any sort of like fantasy before. Anywho, I enjoyed this a lot. I said this I think last time, I loved Misery. I just think she was so witty and like her one-liners were so good, and the banter between her and literally anybody else was so good, and I really enjoyed that. The nodding scene, I'll be honest, like that was fine. I'm cool with smut. I can handle smut. I'm just confused. And I reread that particular like paragraph explaining nodding a couple of times because I was like, I don't get this. Like my pea brain could not scientifically wrap around the fact. What does that mean? So I thought for like 3 seconds, I was like, I should just Google this. No, I should not Google it. I will never Google it. I don't want to see pictures. In my brain, it's just like, and I know we're gonna go there, we're gonna talk about this. It's like when cats do that and they like clench. Do you need to know that? No. But that's what I envisioned the whole time, and yeah, it was kind of yucky. But also like, fine, sure, enjoy yourself. This was great. This was cute. The politics of the world were talked about pretty thoroughly, which I quite liked because that's kind of what I wanted. And the whole like big mystery that you're also kind of trying to solve at like the same time as the romance was also solved and was good, actually. I was a little shocked about that. I feel like you got me on that one. I was like, oh, that's not at all what I expected. So I liked that. And then there was like a fun little cute kind of cliffhanger at the end. I feel like it does, like, I think from what I've seen, everyone's saying that Ali Hazelwood is not going to write like a second one or another book in this, like make it a series. But like the ending kind of left like an open door for if she wants this to be a series, she could, if that makes sense. So 4 stars, I did enjoy it. As far as a vampire book goes, it was mostly romance. It wasn't like spooky vampire. I feel like The Serpent and the Wings of Night was like romantasy, fanro vampire, and this was like romance vampire. So I'm hoping that Night's Edge is a little bit more spooky vampire, because like I really just want like spooky vampire. So 4 stars, really liked it. Alrighty, let's get into our next vampire book. I'm definitely in the mood, especially because this one's kind of shorter. The next one is Night's Edge. This is by Liz Curran, and there is a second book already out as well, so that, I don't know, that's kind of exciting. But this is the shortest, I think, of the 4 at around like 270-ish pages. And I feel like of the 4 vampire books, this one could be the most like real life spooky vampire as opposed to like fantasy vampire or like romance vampire, which was what The Serpent and the Wings of Night was, fantasy and fantasy romance, and then romance, paranormal romance for Bride. And I have a feeling that Silver Under Nightfall is going to lead more fantasy as well. So I feel like this is going to be the more horror of the 4. And I'm looking forward to it. Oh, it has a quote from S.A. Barnes. Love S.A. Barnes. Brilliant. And Delilah S. Dawson, which is fascinating. Brilliant, fascinating. This one's a killer. The top says, I'm always careful not to disturb Mom. A rude awakening can definitely set her off, especially if she wakes up hungry. I can't forget what she is, what she could do to me. And oh, there's more by S.A. Barnes back here. Incredible world building and a fresh and utterly engaging take on what it means to love a vampire. So obviously it seems like her mom's a vampire and she needs to take care of her. I think. Having a mom like Izzy meant me I had to grow up fast. French novel about the darkest secrets we hide and how monstrous we can be to the ones we love most. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a good time. So let's go ahead and start Night's Edge. And also I want to show you when you take the, well, first of all, like the ombre effect of this book is really cool. But when you take off the dust jacket, it's like this really pretty blue. Look at that. Love that. So let's start it. Alrighty, so I'm here to update you on Night's Edge. I have the dust jacket off, y'all. I'm not very far into this at all. I'm on page 47. So like, not very far at all, but I can already tell that I'm going to like this a lot. I didn't know what to think of this when I first like picked it up, because like the synopsis is good, but it's like I didn't expect this to be so good, and I'm 40 some pages in. I'm gonna tell you basically what's happened so far, because I don't feel like we've really gotten to like the meat and potatoes of the what's happening, but we're following, it looks like, 2 different timelines. We're following from the timeline when our main gal, couldn't even tell you her name, maybe Mia, not a clue, is like 10, and then 10 years later, so now she's 20. So when she's 10 is when her mom was officially turned into a vampire, but they don't say the word vampire. They call them Sarahs, and Sarahs is like short for the proper scientific terminology name that they call this disease, which isn't necessarily a disease. And her mom was like one of the first people to be turned, and like when it started happening, it was almost like an epidemic. People started freaking out. No one went out at night. If they caught one, they just killed it, and like killed the person, and the police were just like, oh, it wasn't even like a person, so it doesn't matter. So she really wants to take care of her mom and make sure her mom, like, nobody knows that her mom is what she is. So from the age of 10 until now, she's been taking care of her mom. She basically every morning like drains her own blood, feeds that to her mom, and like they run like a I would say like a bar and grill, and her mom, obviously it's only open at night, so her mom's able to go out at night and like run this. And society as a whole has kind of like, they're still scared of the Sarahs, but they're not like, they're adjusting. So they have these things called Sarah scanners, and they have them everywhere. They talk about how they have them at Starbucks and Disneyland, where you have to put your finger on a scanner and it pricks you, and it tells like the technology if you are infected with this or not, obviously, because you're a vampire. So it talks about how like they bypassed that with her mom working at this bar and grill because she owns it. So she's like, oh, I'm the owner, I don't need to do this. So like no one knows this. So she's taking care of her mom, and as of like right now, she's meeting somebody that she's getting like this weird feeling about, and she's not sure if she is a Sarah or not, but she met them in like public during the day, and they're like, people are kind of scared about mutations, which is why they do the scanners even during the day. So that's kind of where we're at right now, but I feel like the whole logistics of this is really fascinating. I'm like kind of enjoying the logistics of this. Also, I forgot to tell you, I'm wearing a vampire themed shirt today, so perfect timing. But yeah, this definitely does feel more horror than the last couple, and definitely, I don't know, I actually really don't know about Silver Under Nightfall. I'm not sure if that's gonna have any sort of feeling to it. The other two have felt more fantasy romance, but this definitely leans towards horror, so I'm like really interested to see what happens, and then like, and I guess like what the whole problem is of the story. And I also feel like I did get a little like grossed out a bit when she was explaining the like taking of her own blood, because it's just like, I don't know, it was kind of gross and a little graphic. But this is a shorter one, so I'm hoping to be able to finish it within the next few days. And there is a second one out already, so I'm really looking forward to that as well, to see like what happens. But they live in Arizona, which is why there's a cactus and the fire. What's the purpose of the fire? I'll find out. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, the logistics of this is really cool, and I like that. So I'm gonna keep on keeping on. So I finished Night's Edge last night, and I ultimately gave it a 3-star. And it makes me a little sad to say that, because every single person that I follow that has reviewed this has given it a 5-star. They've given it a 5-star, and I liked this, and I liked the premise, but I will say that it just sometimes felt like the plot was moving way too slowly. So once we finally got to the meat and potatoes, which is essentially our main character Mia is like, I gotta get away from this, but I'm scared to get away from this because she cares so much about her mom, and she wants to make sure her mom is taken care of, but at the same time she's scared of her mom, and like for very good reasons. So like this whole time we're having this internal conflict of whether or not she wants to run off and like try and start a life without her mom, but also like, how's her mom gonna survive? Like it's always in the back of her head. So like reading this the whole time, I was just like, girl, leave. Like, what are you doing? And I get it, but the end was so chaotic. Like the last like 30 pages were just so much was happening that like the whole time I'm reading this book, I knew there was going to be a second book. So I was like, do I want to pick it up? Like the whole time I'm thinking to myself, do I want to pick this up? I don't know. Like this book is it's so good, like, but it's also kind of slower. Maybe I don't pick up the second book. But then the last 30 pages were literally like, it ended on such like, not necessarily a cliffhanger, but such an abrupt stop that it was like, oh, I feel like I need to read the second book because I need to know what happens. So yeah, I liked it here and there. I felt like the premise and the whole vampire situation, especially for this particular video, it was very much so more on the horror side than the other ones I have read. But it just like, I feel sad saying this too, I just didn't love it as much as I know other people have. Do I think you should read this? Of course. If you like vampire books, if you like horror, 100% I think you should pick this up. It's a very quick read, and it does pack a punch because not only are you following it from like a horror perspective, but you also kind of feel emotionally tied to these people and you're following them as well. But yeah, ultimately 3 stars. It was okay, and it's disappointing, but at the same time we have one vampire book left and I'm excited to see what happens in that one. Alrighty, so we're back with another vampire reading bit. I started Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Chapeko, and I will say, I mean, I'm not very far in at all. Like guys, I'm like 82 pages in. Like that is not far. Chapter 7. Also everything's a mess. I will say, especially when it comes to like fantasy books, and I don't know, is this considered fantasy? I think it is. It takes me a minute to even like understand what's going on. I started reading this, and normally if like Brian's like talking to me, I can kind of like, I can engage and also still read. I had to be like, babe, give me a minute. I've read this page 3 times. I still don't know what's going on. And that happened for me, but now I'm finally at this point where I feel like I finally understand what's happening. So I'm going to tell you what's happening, and everything I'm telling you is in the synopsis, so I'm not spoiling anything. But we are following Remy, which is, I'm assuming, this guy right here, and he is a reaper. So he is a vampire killer, vampire hunter. And they live in this like world where it seems like there's different courts of vampires, and there's a few courts that have like killed themselves off. There's a few courts that still hang around, but it seems like the humans and the vampires don't necessarily interact, and when they do, that's when the reapers come in to kill these vampires. So we meet Remy. He's unfortunately killing someone that had just been turned, and he was very upset about it because it was someone he knew, kind of, like briefly. So that's when we meet him, but like we also meet him being attacked by these like vampires, so we kind of see like their strengths and whatever, and like his strengths, because he himself is half vampire. At least I think it's believed that he's half vampire. I don't know if it's been confirmed. So he's the son of this like duke who used to be in charge of the reapers, but was basically like overthrown by like a different man, and so the duke has like a lot of hatred. And I think he also has a lot of hatred for Remy, but I'm not quite sure why. So we meet Remy during that time, and he goes to this ball that's being held by this like lady he has like relations with, and he meets this girl who he finds to be like super attractive, and she happens to be a vampire, and he meets her fiance as well. But like they say that vampires have this like, they don't think of relationships the same way that the humans do. So like I feel like they're a very open relationship, and I feel like it's gonna end up being a throuple at some point, so I'm kind of excited for that. But basically her and then the lady whose ball he went to, she's like a noble, are telling him that there's like this new breed of vampires that are like unkillable, and it's like a problem, obviously, because they're attacking villages, they're pillaging. It's a problem. So where I'm at right now is we just met our first like new breed of vampire, and I don't know like where this is gonna go, if this is necessarily gonna become, and I think that actually this is where it's gonna become, I think it's become like them teaming up to go fight these vampires. But also I have no freaking clue. Yeah, it says it's a journey, and he develops fond and complicated feelings for the couple. Oh, and it's called a rot. That's what it's called. The new breed of vampires are like becoming of a rot. See what I'm saying? Like I feel like I understand what's happening, but like, do I understand what's happening? I guess. But I'm basically gonna start reading a little bit more right now because I have a little bit of time until I can go get the kids from school. I would like to get to page like 150, I think, right now. So I think I'm gonna do that, and I'll keep you guys updated. But so far I do like it, but it is very like fantasy, so it's taking me a minute to get into it. I do like the fantasy genre. I just have a pea-sized brain, so it takes me a second to understand what's going on. So I'm gonna get back to reading this and I'll keep y'all updated. Okay, so I'm filming this update really quickly because it is a school night and I need to get started on the kids' bedtime routine like ASAP. But here with an update, I am about 50% of the way through. This book's getting a little horny, a little, just a teeny bit. Anyways, so I will say, the first chunk of this book, before we even go on our travels, I was like, I don't know if I was just confused, but I was like really bored. And I felt bad saying that, but I was just like, I don't want to be in this town. I want to go on these travels. I want to go with this prince and princess of the vampires, or whatever court they're from the vampires. And I want to travel with them and not just be here like learning about all this hubbub, like boring stuff. So now we're traveling, and now I'm actually like really heavily invested. And now like I went from reading like 30 pages at a time to last night I busted out like 100 and something because I just really was happy with where we're at. And then it took a turn I wasn't expecting. Basically this princess and prince, I keep saying that, I don't know if like they are, but they keep calling her princess. The two vampires that Remy is with, they're a couple, they're fiancés, and therefore they are together. And they kept throwing out these like vibes that they would like to include Remy. And I was like, am I picking up these vibes, or is this like, is this all in my head? But then Remy started thinking it too, and I was like, oh, this isn't all in my head. And then it was verbally expressed, and I was like, oh, okay. So like, I'm gonna be real. I don't mind a little bit of smut in books. It's fine. I can handle it. Sometimes I feel like it can add to a plot. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't need to be the whole plot. But I'm really enjoying this little adventure we're going on. And this like smutty side plot, I'm like, but I want to be on this adventure. I'm like really enjoying this right now. We're just traveling. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, it is picking up for me more. The plot is definitely moving faster. I am exactly 50% of the way through. Probably finish it within the next couple of days for sure. And so far I am enjoying it. So just wanted to give that update. It's a little horny, but it's okay. So I'm here to talk about Silver Under Nightfall and to conclude this vampire vlog. So of course I'm wearing the vampire shirt again because I need to conclude it. Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Shipeko. So I wanted to love this book so badly because everybody that I have seen read this book has loved this book so badly. And I felt like the more I read this book, the more aggravated I got because I had these like thoughts in my head and then they would just keep happening in the book and I'm like, come on, you know what I mean? I ended up ultimately giving this 2 stars because I was very frustrated with this. There were so many times that we were given plots that would have been so cool if they were drug out. Never will I ever say that. But there's like major plot points that are happening, okay? For example, I'm just gonna say the caves. There's this major plot point that's happening. It's a very pivotal scene in this book. It's very dramatic. It could be drug out over multiple chapters, and it is a chapter long. The conflict happens and it's resolved within a chapter. And I feel like that is how it happened throughout the entire book. There is a big reveal. There's actually 2 big reveals. Both of them I could have told you. It just only made sense. Why bring up this one specific thing 300 times if it doesn't end up happening? I felt like the relationship of the like throuple was the main focus of this book. I liked it. I thought it was great. I enjoyed reading about it. If the rot, which is the disease that's plaguing these vampires that are making them these like undead creatures that are unstoppable, was told to us as the main plot point, and I felt like it was just kind of an afterthought. I felt like the relationship was what the author really wanted to be in the forefront, and that's fine because that's what was happening, but I went into this thinking it was going to be more of like a fantasy horror vampire story, and the plot that I was hoping for didn't end up happening, and therefore I really didn't enjoy it. And I wanted to so badly because I've heard so many people say so many amazing things about it, and I just did not care, and I feel bad because I just didn't. So that is my, I think, finalized thoughts on Silver Under Nightfall. I'm so sad that I didn't like it because look at this cover. This cover is gorgeous. I love it so much. Like, it's so pretty. And the other cover, the second book, is also incredible. I will not be reading the second book. I don't want to continue with the series, but you know, if that's something you think you'll like, it's for you. So I guess my final thoughts on this vampire vlog are that I didn't like Silver Under Nightfall or Night's Edge, the two books that I thought I would like the most out of all of these. I thought that this like fantasy horror romance would be really great. I thought that this super horror vampire novel would be up my alley, and I liked these two the least. I really did enjoy Bride. I felt like it was just a very fun for me take on paranormal romance, as I have never read any paranormal romance before. I enjoyed Allie Hazelwood's writing. I definitely look forward to reading more from her. And I thought Bride was fun, and I liked our main character. I felt she was really sarcastic and witty and mean, and I loved that. So this one was a good read, and I was really shocked because I didn't know if I would love this. Finally, I had a feeling I would like this, and it was of course my favorite. That is The Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I have already bought the novella that comes in between the duology. I don't have the second book because I'm waiting for it to come out on paperback. It comes out in paperback on November something, in November. But I'm ready to grab this because I enjoyed The Serpent in the Wings of Night so much. This was like the vampire fantasy I was looking for. Really liked it. I liked the romance in it, and I'm really excited to continue this series. So those are my finalized thoughts on my vampire reading vlog. I have since purchased 2 other vampire stories that are more horror leaning, so I'm really looking forward to reading those and maybe seeing if just I needed a different horror style versus the Night's Edge one. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these 4, let me know your thoughts. I really want to know what you guys think. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.